Introducing the all-new Corolla.
Senator Brant Mccreadie'S Bill 389 was added into the miscellaneous provisions section of the budget, appropriating $10 million out of a $15 million windfall of Section 30 funding to pay out the remaining half of law enforcement salary adjustments.
I think this is a $10 million well-spent investment into not just the Guam Police Department, but the fire and every other man and woman who wears a uniform to protect our island and to protect our communities and our families. And I think this will go a long way in letting them know that we not only support them, but we want them to not just survive, but thrive as a police officer.
And Senator Chris DUENAS' companion bill to Mccreadie'S measure, or Bill 390, was also added into the budget, appropriating the remaining $5 million in Section 30 funding to pay for the implementation of the remaining half of Hay recommended pay raises. However, some senators were quick to point out that Senator Ben Pangelinan's Bill 309 that was vetoed by the governor would have accomplished the exact same thing as both Senators Mccreadie and DUENAS' bills with the exact same funding source.
Thank you very much, Senator McCreadie, for introducing 389. It would have not been necessary had we been able to override 309, which did the very same thing.
I wanted to recognize this provision in the memory of our late colleague, Speaker Ben Pangelinan, who introduced Bill 309 to address this issue. I would have wished that the political circumstances that brought us to this point would have continued on the track of his memory and his intent to use these very same funds for this very purpose. The bill that he introduced that initiated this process was vetoed under the premise that these funds weren't available or that there was no confirmation that this money was coming in, only to find out today that it's here and that it was introduced in a different bill, in a different form, for a different political reason. And these are the kinds of political games that we don't need to be playing with our people. If we knew the money was going to come in, and if our late colleague, Speaker Ben Pangelinan, was right in his appropriation with Bill 309, then we should have had the decency to move that forward and let this appropriation go through for the benefit of our law enforcement officers who are expecting this retroactive pay. Instead, we turned it into some kind of drama that has brought us to this point of including it in this provision.
I concur wholeheartedly that the intent and the language is in honor, in deep honor, of our good fallen colleague. However, I will point out that there were items within Bill 309 that were disagreed upon by members of this body.
Speaker Judy Wonpat read from Governor Eddie Calvo's veto message of Senator Pangelinan's Bill 309.
Bill 309 is a misleading and reckless gimmick that serves only to advance political aims at the expense and hopes of hardworking Guamanians. This is a deficit spending in its plainest forms. It is wrong, and I will not tolerate it. Bill number 309 is vetoed. And today we know that the money is there. And Speaker Pangelinan was vilified, accused wrongly. And I hope this statement then corrects exactly everything else that's been said against that man.